Shalom. All right, God, call on Lai, Howard, Basmi outside, Wahabadash Kato, Yahabasmi outside, the Holy Spirit, divine to the hopefully elect, elder apostles, slaves to be saved. Lord willing, starting with those at the Great Millstone Church on down to the rest that may be out here abiding under this same doctrine, because this, in fact, is a true doctrine. All right, there's only one true doctrine according to the scriptures. Much peace and many blessings to you, other brothers teaching this truth in all truth, faith, and sincerity, as well, giving all diligence to make your calling and election short. Much peace and many blessings to the other believers as well of the Israelite race, you so-called Black, Latino, Native American, Indian, men, women, and children. All right, shalom to the elected 1/3. All right, the House of David. So yeah, jumping into this, don't be pretty much fashioned to your old man. And pretty much this is in wake of some music being played last night. And pretty much some conversations that was had among brothers, and the particular topics that by the Spirit was permitted to be spoken about. But in a sense, I'll say chose to make the lesson to make sense, right? And that's pretty much we was talking about the Jay-Z lyrics or something like that. These Jay-Z and Kanye lyrics. And the songs was Prime Time by Jay-Z and Kanye West. And another song by Jay-Z, the so-called rapper Jay-Z. You know, they niggas, but already home. And we were just talking about how spiritual it was because of the lyrics and the topic. You know, Prime Time is really dealing with Jake being ageless and immortal, and how we're pretty much gonna be stuck. The Lord's gonna pretty much he's gonna have us stuck in our prime in the kingdom, which is why the kingdom is gonna be so great. And that's pretty much what that they're denoting at that song. That's a feat that they desire to reach. That's what that song, the sentiment of that song is, that prime time song. You know, when everything is at its best, when they were at their best. You know, and it's kind of denoting Yahweh Shah too. And then the other song, Already Home, is pretty much talking about how this is another spiritual song. You know, but nonetheless, not here to talk about that. You would think that men, and it was really, through me it came up, but it was by the Spirit. But you would think for men that probably, but you would think men would probably think like, oh, we can't talk about these things, or we can't look at these type of things, or oh damn, you like reminiscing or something like that. Well, not necessarily, because one, the scriptures say a spiritual man judges all things, compared spiritual things to spiritual. It tells you that in 1 Corinthians, the 2nd chapter. And also it tells us that the Lord's incorruptible spirit is in all things. So all things is all things. It said, who knoweth not the hand of the Lord have wrought this, in his hand, in whose hand is the soul, the spirit, the breath of everything, living thing or whatever. But so even if people, they're in the world, they still prove the truth. Everyone is subject to it. Everyone is subject to the Heavenly Father's Spirit, and proving his existence just off them, in a sense, existing. All right. And it tells us how we can't do nothing against the truth, but for the truth. So it just keeps going. So my point being, it probably would look like I'm being reminiscent, but in actuality, it's completely different. I'm going about something completely different than I would have, which may appear to be me just talking about or bringing up things of my old man, etc., the former lust and all of that. But really, that's an indication based off how it's gone about, that, well, since I didn't go, it wasn't gone about how my old man would go about it. My old man would be, you know, you know, doing nigga shit, with it, and it'd have been niggerly, even though I wasn't the most carnal person in the world, but definitely in the world. But however, now it's different because all things are spiritual, and I understand that. And I'm just using myself as an example. And your brother will be able to see, well, yeah, this brother's not going about this at all, like how because we all knew about the song, but how we would go about it in the world. And that reason being is because we're not supposed to be fashioned to our Salakia. We're not supposed to be fashioned to our old self, our former self. All right, let me just fix this real quick. And I'm gonna actually pull that up. And that goes into the title. What you see is what? Don't look like your old man in the spirit, nor go about things like him, and this also go for you women too. All right, I just went ahead and put her so it'd be more obvious that this is already talking to you. Okay, so we'll try to get this. Okay, bear with me just a moment. And that's what we're going to be covering really quick. That's the message of this 42nd volume of Up and Adam. Yeah. It says 1 Peter 4 and 14. It says, yeah, Khan. I'm gonna start at 13. Wherefore gird up the loins of your mind, be sober, and hope to the end for the grace that is brought unto you at the revelation of Yahushua HaMashiach, as obedient children, right? We want to be obeying the Heavenly Father. We want to make sure we're completely fortified. Our minds are fortified, through this doctrine against anything that could bring us back into, shackles. And that's ultimately just sin, because that's what put us in physical shackles in the first place. Us so-called Blacks, Latinos, and Native American Indians, as the Israelites, as actually even while actually being the Israelites, Hebrew Israelites above who are above all people. So we want to make sure our minds is fortified. So what that means, gird up your the loins of your mind. You know what I'm saying? Make sure your because this doctrine is clothing. Make sure this doctrine has completely clothed your mind. You know what I'm saying? So it doesn't result in shame. You see what I'm saying? Like if your mind is clothed with this doctrine, it won't result in shame. But that's not the point. Be sober and hope to the end for the grace that is to be revealed, brought unto you at the revelation of a Mashiach as obedient children, right? So we can get, the point of being in on this, man. That's why I says and hope to the end for the grace, because ultimately we're going to get grace. It's going to pretty much we're going to get the ultimate point of the grace period. When He comes back, because the Lord is going to completely, disannul our sins, us from these bodies, these chains of darkness. He's going to free us. You know what I'm saying? And it's going to be through His grace. Which is talked about in Romans, in the book of Romans. But yeah. So it says, as obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust and your ignorance. You see, so you want to be on point with the Heavenly Father ultimately, so we don't go back and change, we don't fall away, we don't become niggas again. You see, and that's the point of the lesson. It says, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust and your ignorance. So you don't want to look like your old man at all. You want to pretty much dress. See how I deal with dressing. Gird up your loins. Your loins is girding your loins up is basically, getting dressed, man. You know, putting on your boots, lacing your boots up. Because you women can wear boots, so I can't say pants, so I'll use that example. But you men, pulling, putting your big boy pants on, man. All right. And for us in general, putting, lacing up our boots. All right, girding up the loins of our minds, uh, and which is you getting dressed, if you will. But it can't be in the same fashion that you would address yourself, before you came into the truth and you didn't know anything. That's the ignorance part, and ultimately, uh, no longer dressing nor addressing things how you would, uh, when you didn't know anything before you came into this truth. Your ignorance. You see what I'm saying? So you don't address things. You're no longer dressed. If you're no longer dressed like your old man, you're not looking like your old man. You see? Yeah. What do you? Pretty much whatever whatever you take on and you put on. You know, the things that your old man would use to do that you wouldn't do anymore. But if you did, because that's why I ultimately have in the title, don't look like your old man in the spirit, because you're gonna have times where men, like I came in, I threw away literal things that to me were completely of my worldly self. But you don't have to do that, because that could be being, it's subjective, because for some people they probably can't afford to do that. Not saying like I got some bunch of money or something like that, but nonetheless, when I say afford, you can afford things in different ways, but some people can't afford to do that ultimately, and that could be being what? Over righteous. So that's why I put ultimately in the spirit. That's the main way. Because you can have somebody that look like the same person, be like, but this ain't the same person. And that's the point right there. Because we're talking about things that brothers know that brothers used to obviously listen to rap in the world, but nonetheless you can hear how this is being talked about, or how the brother may be addressing this, like, yo, that ain't the same person though. This ain't and that's the main thing we want to focus on, which is what this ultimately means, as far as not being fashion according to our former lust in our ignorance. Meaning what? Just simply don't look like your old man, but ultimately in the spirit. See, because people can see who they once knew. You know what I'm saying? Your moms can see that you in this old sweater she bought you or something like that, or whoever. But you just completely different. You don't look nothing, you know, it's not even remotely close. It's like when a man loses the spirit. I tell you that in Ecclesiastes in the 8th chapter in the first verse, who is the wise man and who knoweth the interpretation of a thing? A man's wisdom maketh his face to shine. You see, and the boldness of his face shall be changed. See, shall be changed. See, just like the equivalent of when the Lord chastises this man, he maketh his beauty to consume away. So ultimately, when you come into this truth, you completely look different. You might on the carnal level look the same, but ultimately you look different. Just like if you lose the spirit, obviously you wouldn't have that glow. Meaning what? You wouldn't look the same either. You see what I'm saying? Even though that looked like the brother that used to be in the truth, but once he has lost this or sister, once they have lost this oil, they have lost this truth. They don't shine no more. They don't actually appear the same. You know what I'm saying? And it's the same thing with this scripture. This is Psalms 39 and 11. When thou with rebukes dost correct man for iniquity, thou makest his beauty to consume away. You see, like a moth, surely every man is vanity. Salah. So pretty much that person's body can still be there. You know what I'm saying? That's the same person, but they're no longer beautiful. So that's the equivalent of, you know, pretty much when you come into this truth, you completely are to, not appear the same. You are to not appear the same. If you're in this truth, you're not gonna appear the same because you're not supposed to. It's like I just was proving. If you leave the truth, you're not gonna appear the same, even though you're still in that body. That body's still here. So First Peter 1:14, as obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust in your ignorance. So ultimately, don't look like your old man in the spirit. Don't go about things like him slash her. So if you had a job, so-called job, you wouldn't. Everything you do now is completely not. You are to not pick anything that your old man will have picked, if possible. And if you do, you don't wear it. You don't do it the same way. You don't pick it the same way. If it's clothes, you don't wear them the same way. You know, if it's trying to get a promotion at the gig or something like that, that you ain't going about that the same way. You don't go to you don't go to once you got this truth, you don't go about anything the same way. You don't address anything the same way, you know? And then that'll ultimately show, you know, you to look different, aka you'll be dressed different. You know, people will pick up on that. Whether if it just be in the spirit, but actually not being you look the same, but you ain't the same, or something different about you. Or if you go to full distance and you actually like change everything, you change the wardrobe. You probably had obviously, for example, you might have those that heard the truth with blonde hair. Well, they don't have blonde hair no more because it's a spiritual. It goes spiritual and onto the carnal as well. But ultimately, it got to be in the spirit. You see what I'm saying? You got men that came in with the same shoes they heard. They wear the truth. With they teaching the truth in the same shoes they heard when they were niggas. You see what I'm saying? And that's all right because you probably can't. You know, that's ultimately. But in the spirit, they look different. On the spirit, those Jordans don't look the same no more. You see what I'm saying? You could just you see a bunch of brothers that you know that's like that. You know, and then but then ultimately you'll see brothers that's like that in the truth, and you can tell they still carnal. You see what I'm saying? Like, nah, that. So ultimately, like I said, if you're trying to get, like, say, for a promotion on a gig or something like that, you wouldn't go about that the same way. You wouldn't upon coming into this truth. You're not addressing the things the same way. You know, these people are the devil. You know, this world is wicked. You know, you know, you pretty much you know that you're not fighting for the same cause your old man was fighting for. You know, and then when you go into that word, it says, as obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust, right? In your ignorance, when you go into that word fashioning, you get the word Strong's G 4964. Suschematizo. Suschematizo. To conform, you see, to conform oneself. An example, one's mind and character, you see, to another's pattern. You're not waking up playing Juicy J no more, Wiz Khalifa no more, whatever the hell, you know, Matt, Wake and Bake. You're not doing none of that no more. You see what I'm saying? This is outright things your old man was doing that is not permitted in the truth. Old mindsets, the way your old man was thinking that is not permitted at all in the truth. You see what I'm saying? Like your old man probably worked out. You men and women out here. You can still work out. It just wouldn't be in the same way. You working out ultimately to have a body that can endure. You trying to fortify your body against these sicknesses out here, these pestilence that the Lord said is gonna come. You trying to make sure the Lord's temple stays good and healthy so the spirit can actually dwell in you. It's hard to be in the spirit if your body ain't in the best shape. You see what I'm saying? Your body's all you know, sluggish due to crap. You know, you're still putting in it, you know, according to things you like, but it's according to what you like before you came in. You got to learn to like new things. You got to actually see what the real you actually like. Everything that we knew in the world was just what everybody else did. Really, you had your own little personal things, but ultimately you was a follower, man. You see what I'm saying? And then you know, you didn't really, and it wasn't even according to you. It was according to the nigga template that Esau gave us. Like nigga, the Lord set us up to where Esau would show us who we are. But that would just be a nigga going to the corner store getting Skittles, eat Starburst and Flaming Hots with red fingers. You see what I'm saying? Not drinking no water, you know? not reading the book, not, what I'm saying, taking advantage of the elements. Just go to the park and, people fight or something like that, or, you don't do none of that. Now you wouldn't put a movie on the same way. You could put a movie on, like that's okay, that's permitted too, but you wouldn't watch it the same way. You wouldn't think the same way. You wouldn't address things the same way. And ultimately, that would show you not to be dressed the same way as your old man. Ultimately, you wouldn't look like your old man no more if you just dress different. If you come out of the closet with one outfit on, right? You be like, all right, I gotta go home. I gotta change. You come outside, go outside. Okay. You go back. You like, I gotta change. You come back with a different outfit. You're not gonna look like your old man no more. You're not gonna look like you just did anymore. That the instance, the previous outfit that you was wearing, or that person that was wearing the other outfit, the previous outfit, that would be the old man, because it's a new person now. You see what I'm saying? It's like you got a new day. That was yesterday. Today's news. That's old news. You see what I'm saying? News. See, new. See that's what we're supposed to do. So that's we are to be. That's why he tell us. I'm gonna grab this real quick. This is in Romans, the 12th chapter, and I'm gonna close out in the first verse. I'm gonna start at 2. And be not conformed to this world. You see, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind. See that? Because ultimately, if you thinking about things way different, you're gonna get different results. You're gonna if you think about everything different from what you eat, who you around, what you consider, what you're aware, all that stuff gonna roll over to them things changing, not looking how they once will look, you see, and be not conformed to this world, and that's how it's supposed to be, you know, especially if it's something that needs to be changed because it's not permitted by this truth, you see. But ultimately, even if everything doesn't change, like say a tire or something like that, or like all your food, it should be different in the spirit. Like you might be still drinking the same crappy water, but water is tainted now. You didn't really understand that until coming to the truth. And to the truth, when you had like me, I was like health savvy, if you will, to a degree, before coming to this truth. So I already knew the water was, messed up. But now, it's on a whole nother level because I understand, how principled water is according to Heavenly Father. Like, not even by zeal, because before I knew that too. Obviously, He made it is for us to drink, but now I know it according to knowledge. You see? And that's the whole point. It says, but be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, that ye may prove what is that good and acceptable and perfect will of Yahweh Bahashem Yahweh Shai. See? It's about knowing. Okay. So I'm going to go ahead and get this. I'm going to close out. 1 Peter 1:14, as obedient children, not fashioning, meaning conforming, nor, not thinking, ultimately meaning, because conforming, meaning what? Not thinking or molding, not, being in the same mold of your old man. You see, going into fashioning again to conform oneself, an example, one's mind and character to another's pattern, fashion oneself according to. Okay. And you get that word. Yeah, comply with, follow convention, match. These synonyms, match up. You shouldn't match your old man. If I listen to a song that's like, okay, what I'm saying, that I say my old man listen to, it shouldn't match the same way my old man will listen to. You see what I'm saying? And that's ultimately proof that I'm not fashioned, even though I'm listening to this old song, but I'm just doing it with a spiritual eye for a different purpose now. And then ultimately, you don't want to be listening to, the old music. If you can, find new music. You see, if you're going to deal with music and stuff like that, yeah, that's basically that. Okay. So 1 Peter 1:14, as obedient children, not fashioning yourselves according to the former lust in your ignorance. We're going to get that word lust really quick. It says desire, craving.
Strong's G, 1939. Epithumia. Epithumia.
Yeah, desire for what is forbidden. So if you was obviously a thief, you won't be a thief no more, man. You know what I'm saying? Nah, I don't dress women like that no more. Or no, I don't look at marriage like that no more. I don't do that. You know what I'm saying? Because these is certain things that your old man was doing that's outright forbidden. You don't go after those things no more. You put all those things off. And we're gonna get this last word right here. This is ignorance.
Strong's G52. Agnoia. Agnoia.
So lack of knowledge. You see, you no longer choose the things that your old man chose. You know, be if you're a man or a woman, uh, that was when you were in a time of being destroyed for lack of knowledge. You don't choose any of those things. It says ignorance of divine things, of moral blindness. You see that? So you on a higher level. You ought to be on a higher level than your old man. You know, um, even if you're wearing the same thing, you like bigger than the clothes now. You know, you might have been a fashion head or a shoe head, but now it's just clothes now. You see what I'm saying? Like you address it for different purposes. You might have like been into it for like, cause you got different reasons why people into like nice things or fashion or clothes or whatever, right? Some people for a good reason will be quality. Now, but let's say that wasn't you was one of those people, but your reasoning wasn't quality, but you have now claimed into this truth, and you don't put that off necessarily because you don't necessarily have to. You know what I'm saying? It's just if it offends you, you cut it off, as the scriptures say, right? But now you'll still be wearing it on a higher level now, because now you're like, well, I'm wearing it for the quality because the Lord said, "He that endureth to the end shall be saved." So if I just got things that could endure, you know what I'm saying? Uh, like for instance, my money, but I'm able to help my money endure by keeping these quality clothes because they'll last longer, and thus I'll have to spend less on anything. You see what I'm saying? So these are just things you want to do. You put off those things that you once used to do in the way you used to do them. So even if you so called on a carnal level, how man see it, you right appear as the same person. Ultimately, really you don't. They really see you don't. You see what I'm saying? And then if it go further and roll over to the other things, that's cool too. But remember, the Lord, it say that the Lord, He see it not as man see it. Look not on the outer countenance of a man, but man look on the outer countenance. Right? Paraphrasing in 1 Samuel 16 chapter and the 7th verse. He said, for the Lord looketh on the inward part, He look at the heart. He see it not as man see it, He look at the heart. So that's ultimately what the spirit. Why? Because that's where the spirit is at. So yeah, so with that, Lord willing, it's been edifying. I'm gonna go ahead and close out. Don't look like your old man in the spirit. Go about things like him or her, dealing with your job, getting a promotion, trying to get you some money for different purposes. You don't even wash your car the same. But anyway, I'll call Allah, Allah, Yahweh Basmi Al